name is Mary. I do a lot of the programming at the Iowa City Public Library. And normally during the summertime, we would be doing World Wednesday in the storytime room, and everyone would have a table to sit at, and we could do like a little lesson and do a craft together. So obviously that's not what we're doing this summer. So we're going to try out the virtual thing with World Wednesdays. And I've done a lot of cool craft projects. Sometimes we have dancers come into the library and demonstrate dancing, all kinds of stuff. So I'm really glad that you're here today joining me. I wanted to really quick before we get started, just kind of fill in everyone about the summer reading program. If you live in Iowa City, you probably got one of these in the mail. And this has all of the programs going on pretty much every day in the library, and we also have stories in the parks on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And tomorrow we're doing our first outdoor special at North Market Square, and that program is for all ages. So if anyone wants to join us for an in-person program outside, we'll be at North Market Square tomorrow at 10:30. And tomorrow we have some wind musicians coming, so that's part of an orchestra. So that is tomorrow. And on the in that packet, if you got it, that back page, this is your summer reading program game card. Raise your hand if you've already signed up for the summer reading program. A couple people have. So if you need to sign up, it's really easy. You can visit us at the library. You can download the dílseacht app if you want to. You can visit us on the bookmobile. We'll get you all signed up, and you can even start keeping track of what you're reading without getting signed up. And then when you come in to get your prize, we can get you registered for the program. So it's super simple. You're just reading 10 books by the end of the summer, and you can do that up to 4 times for extra entries in the grand prize drawing. So let me know if you have any questions about this. So I think it looks like there's a good group of people that are here. So we'll go ahead and get started with the program. So we are recording this on Zoom. So if you didn't get your craft packet that looks like this from the library, you can always like check out this video later and follow along. I also did, if you haven't picked it up yet, there are written instructions too. So you can come get it until the weekend, and you can do it on your own time if you want. But if you do have your craft packet with you today, awesome, I'm seeing some, then we'll do that craft kind of together. But before that, I like to do at my World Wednesdays, I like to do a little bit of a lesson. And oftentimes for World Wednesdays, I'll have like a guest come and talk about, they might be a representation of that culture. So like next week I have, let me pull up my page. So next week is Little Miss Anne, who is a friend of mine. She lives in Chicago, but she's a singer, and she is Filipino. So she agreed when I asked her if she could learn some more Filipino songs and maybe tell some stories. So next week we'll be doing Filipino music and story. So we have all kinds of stuff going on this summer to check out. But I thought I would start off with the Irish Claddagh lore. And I feel comfortable doing this program because I am Irish. So that was kind of my first question for the group. Is anyone here Irish? Anyone know? Those two are Irish. There might be a few Irish people in here. Awesome. Seeing a few more Irish people. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I know a lot of Irish people, and so I looked up to see how many people in America identify as Irish Americans, at least having some lineage of Ireland, and it was 32 million people. So that means that about 10% of the population identifies as at least partially Irish. So in Iowa City, that means alone there's 8,000 Irish people, or roughly that, in Iowa City. So there's a lot of Irish people. if you want to, before we kind of get started, I have just some information about the lore, but I kind of wanted to hear from you guys. So if you want to unmute yourself, what do you guys know about Ireland? What do you think about
Mary,
Ireland?
can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Captain Irish.
With what?
Captain Irish.
No, what's that?
Captain Irish owned all the land that's on, I would say, the east side of town. So Regina is, if you go down into Hickory Hill Park, you'll see, bless you, honey, bless you. You will see a rock down there with a plaque on it. And so it explains a little bit about Captain Irish. But if you go up the hill on Davenport Street from Hickory Hill Park, you'll see the backside of an old brick house. And that's one of the original houses here. It's Captain Irish's home. And our friends lived in it. And now Ari has Captain Irish's bookcase that was made in, like 17 something or other.
Cool. Yeah, that's
so,
actually pretty close to my house. So I'll have to go find Captain Irish's house and check it out.
Yeah, it's called Rose Hill.
Rose Hill. All right. Awesome.
And thanks for the class.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. What else do you guys think about with Ireland? Anyone have anything they want to add? Otherwise, I can tell you some information. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, I pre-shared it before this started just because I struggle a little bit with like all of the technology. Oops. So this is the map of Ireland on this side over here on the right side. So you can kind of see the different parts of Ireland. And then the map on the left, I like it because it kind of shows where Ireland is into relation of other countries in Europe. So it's a European country. Anything else you guys want to share about what you know about Ireland? What do you think about, like, when you think about Ireland, do you think about like St. Patrick's Day? What else do you think about? Do you think about like what kind of food do you think about? You guys can unmute yourselves if you want to.
Potatoes.
You think about potatoes? Okay. What else? Lily, what do you think about? Well, I thought I found some interesting information I thought I would share with you. So other than there's a lot of Irish Americans, it's known for its green pastures. So a lot of times the color green is associated with Ireland, and that's because they have a lot of green pastures, a lot of green grasslands, stuff like that. Do you guys know what a shamrock is? That's a green plant for sure. And that's one of the national symbols. So you think about St. Patrick's Day, right? We celebrate St. Patrick's Day. What month? March. Yeah. Yeah, March. And also, do you guys know about Irish step dancing and Celtic music? Yeah, you've heard of that. You're seeing some of that. Sometimes we have the Irish dancers come to the library and they do a performance for us. They're actually going to come later this year. Later this summer, I was going to look up the date. On July 15th, you can come to the North Market Square Park and see some Irish dancers. What else? Anything else you guys think about when you think about Ireland?
Ari just went inside, but sweaters.
Sweaters, like the wool sweaters?
Yeah. I think it's called, is it called Aran knit sweaters? It's A-R-Y-N.
Yep. That's something that's traditionally made in Ireland. I actually was doing research for this presentation I'm going to do, and it was all about things made in Ireland, and it talked about like the knit sweaters and wool, also about like pottery and different foods that they make in Ireland. So I think there's a lot of things that we think about when we think about Ireland. So specifically today, I wanted to talk about Claddagh rings, because I've always had one. I'm going to show you on the camera here. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but this is my Claddagh ring that I wear. It's gold. And I've just always had this. It was a gift from my mom. can see it. Does anyone else have a Claddagh ring? You guys do over there? Awesome. I'm kind of making my screen bigger so I can see your faces more. So I've always been curious. I didn't really know what, I knew that it meant like love and it was like kind of a symbol of love, but I didn't really know the whole story about it. So I thought it'd be really interesting to do a program about Claddagh. So we'll get going to the craft after this, but I thought I would share some of the information I found, and then I'm going to read you a story about the Claddagh ring. So if you have any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask me, or if you have some information that you want to share, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand. I'll try to keep an eye on that. But I thought I would just kind of share some of the information that I found out. So let's see. Okay, so what does Claddagh mean? So it's actually a Gaelic word that means rocky beach or shore. So the word Claddagh, which it looks like it would be pronounced like Claddagh, it's actually Claddagh, is Gaelic, and that's because where it originated it was in the west of Ireland, where there's like rocky shore. So you can kind of see in this picture, that's the west side of Ireland, which would be the side that's like facing the United States, so the closest side to us. So the history of the village. So the village was called Claddagh, which in Gaelic, like we said, means the shore. And it's said to be the oldest fishing village in Ireland. Now, if you went to, so it's actually located in Galway Bay, which I'm going to pop back to here. Can you guys see my mouse? Okay, so right here is Galway Bay. So that's a really big little bay right here on the west side of Ireland. So let's go back here. So the village doesn't exist anymore, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And so if you went there now, you'd see maybe like some old cottages, some old ruins. But it used to be like the most busy fishing village, which is kind of interesting. So now it's just a tradition that lives on and a custom, but you can't go and visit Claddagh village anymore. So the reason why it was such a popular fishing village is because of the bay, Galway Bay. So the men of the village had the sole rights to all of the fish in the bay, and therefore they had the monopoly, which meant they were the only ones who were allowed to go fishing there. So they had a special boat called a Galway hooker boat, which is kind of funny. This is a picture of it right here, like a modern day one. And it was the king at the time, it was his favorite ship. So he let the men of Claddagh go out and catch all the fish. So that was kind of the whole way that the village would make money is from the fish. So the women would bring the catch to the market, and any outsider found fishing in the bay could have their nets and boats destroyed, and the community of Claddagh, a stranger, was anyone who didn't live in the village. Some say that it was easy to tell if a person was not from the village, as they would not be sporting a Claddagh on their hands. So people in the village all had the ring. So that's kind of interesting that a whole village kind of all united over this symbol of the Claddagh. So we need to find out a little bit more about it. So at its height, Claddagh held 468 thatched cottages. So about 500 families lived there. But soon people kind of started to move to the bigger cities outside of the village. So when a deadly outbreak of tuberculosis in 1927 spread rapidly through the community, the villages were deemed a health hazard, and the order was given to relocate the families, whether they wanted to or not. So that's kind of the downfall of the village. That's why it doesn't exist anymore. So it was kind of like, if you lived in this village, since it was such a small, close-knit community, it was really easy to get sick from tuberculosis. So they wanted people to spread out so that it wasn't so unsafe to live there. So that kind of brings us to the story of the ring. So here's a couple of pictures of some like really old looking rings. So definitely something that's been around for a long time. So they belong to a larger European traditions known as feed rings. And it's an Italian phrase, mani in fide, or hands joined in faith. So the clasped hands were viewed as a promise ring used as like an engagement ring or a wedding ring. So of course, Claddagh rings have their own story, and I'm going to share that story. So, so I kind of summarized it on this page, but I found a story online that I kind of liked a little bit better. So we'll talk about a couple potential origins. So the most plausible or the most likely to be true story was of Richard Joyce, and he was someone who lived in the village. So Richard Joyce departed from Claddagh, a small fishing village where the waters of the River Curragh meets Galway Bay. So that he was supposed to be married, but his ship was captured by pirates. So you know this is an interesting story if there's pirates. And so he was sold to a goldsmith. Do you guys know what a goldsmith is? Anyone? Someone who makes gold. So if you have gold earrings or like my gold ring, then that would be the craft that you would learn, would be how to make gold. So he became really good at making gold. And he made a ring for a woman he could not forget. And then when he was released, when the king came and said that you have to release all these people that were captured by the pirates, they were allowed to return to their homes. And the goldsmith offered Richard his only daughter in marriage and half of his wealth, if only he would stay, because the goldsmith really liked having Richard working with him as a goldsmith. But he said no and returned to Claddagh to find the woman of his heart he had never married, and he gave the ring to her. So that was the story of Richard. So another possible one, and I'll go back and read another story later that has a little bit more information. So another one is another person with the last name Joyce. So it's a very popular name in Ireland, and this was a woman named Margaret Joyce, and she was also from Galway. So her husband was a wealthy Spanish merchant who traded with the city of Galway. After her husband died, she returned to Galway and used her fortune to build bridges in Galway and Sligo, another place in Ireland. And it is said that the first Irish ring, Claddagh ring, was dropped into her lap by an eagle for her reward of good charity of building those bridges, because people need bridges, right? So I thought that was kind of an interesting one too. Mostly I just like the part where an eagle drops the ring into her lap. Like, that's pretty cool. If an eagle flew over your head and you like got a piece of jewelry, I don't know. So a little bit more about it. So the ring has become popular outside of Galway since the middle of the last century. So a lot of people came from Ireland to other places because of the Great Famine in 1847. So one of you said that you think about potatoes when you think about Ireland. And that was kind of part of it, was that people were going hungry in Ireland. All they could do is eat potatoes. So that's when people started to move to America, other parts of Europe, and so on. So these rings were kept as heirlooms with great pride and passed from mother to daughter, just like how I got my ring from my mom. Today, the ring is worn all across Ireland, either on the right hand with the heart turned outward, showing that the wearer is fancy free, or with the heart turned inwards to say that they are spoken for. And we'll go talk about that a little bit more. But the pride of place is on the left hand with the heart turned in, indicating that the wearer is happily, oh, sorry, Paula. We'll do the craft in just a minute. I'm almost done with my lesson. So if you come to the library for World Wednesday, we usually do like a little bit of a lesson. Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about. You can see on here what the meaning of the Claddagh is: love, loyalty, and friendship. Or in Gaelic is gra, dílseacht, cairdeas. Can you guys say that? Gra, dílseacht, cairdeas. So it's the unique design is a combination of the 3 symbols. So we have the crown for loyalty, the heart for love, and then the hands represent friendship. So, okay. So I kind of mentioned this. There's 4 ways to wear your Claddagh ring, and that you can see in the picture that the heart facing inward. So if you're wearing it on your left hand, can you guys show me your left hand? Hold up your left hand. Good job. So if you're wearing it on your left hand, that's usually the ring. Your ring finger is where you put your wedding ring if you get married. So like if your parents, when they got married on their wedding day, they started wearing a ring on this finger. So if your heart is facing inward or towards your heart, then that means you're married. If it's facing the other way, away from your heart or out, it means that you're engaged. If you're not married or engaged, then you would wear the ring on your right hand. And if it's facing towards you, it means that your heart is captured. Maybe you're in love with someone. And if it's facing away, that means that you are kind of fancy free. Like I said, that you can, you're open, your heart is open to find love. Okay, so let's go ahead and get going on the craft. So I'm going to show you how to do the craft, but also I wanted to, since it's going to be kind of hard for me to kind of watch what you guys are doing, I found, or I collected all of the materials, and I'll kind of show you along the way. I have another camera over here that says Craft Cam, and I'll kind of show you on that. So I'll pin that one. But before we work on that together, I thought I would just kind of go over the instructions, because I know that everybody likes to work at their own pace. So I'm just gonna show you on the screen how to do it, and then we'll all work at the same time to get the craft done. So the first thing you are gonna do is you're gonna find the gray paper in that bag. And first you're gonna use your own handprints to make the hand part, or the cairdeas part of the Claddagh symbol. So this is kind of how you're going to trace your hand. So figure out, if you're right-handed, you're going to trace your left hand. And if you're left-handed, you're going to trace your right hand. But I want you to hold your hand like this. Can you guys hold your hand up like this towards the camera? There you go. Yeah, so your fingers are together and your thumb's going to be like kind of straight out. So you're going to put your hand on the gray paper like this, and then you're going to trace your hands. So don't worry too much about the back part of your palm, because we're going to cover that part up with another piece of paper. I'm going to switch over to I'm going to remove my pen. Okay, can you guys see the camera, the craft cam? So you can kind of see.
No, we're seeing the one that shows, it's the still that says make your own handprint.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go through this screen first, and then I'll switch over to my other camera, so it's kind of easier. So that's the first step we're going to do. We'll just talk it through first. So you're going to go over the hand outline with a dark marker. So hopefully you have like a black marker. You could do purple, green, just so it shows up really well. And you're going to create an outline around the hand. And I'll tell you right now that you'll probably kind of accentuate like in between your fingers. You probably won't have a very dark line because it's hard to trace in between your fingers. So you can kind of add that line. And then you are going to cut that out. And then you're going to make your second hand, instead of tracing your hand again, we're going to flip. I'll show all of this. We're going to flip over that that paper that you just cut out, and we're going to trace that instead. And that way you'll have 2 exact mirror replicas of your hands outlines. After that, you're going to use some of the gray paper. We'll do all this together. You're going to use some of the scraps left over, and you're going to make a cuff for the hands, because I've seen a lot of different Claddagh designs, and sometimes they have like a frilly, you know, kind of like this one, they might have like a frilly cuff. So you can kind of draw that if you want, or you could do like, I just did a straight across one like this on mine. or you could make like an ornate one. It's kind of up to you. So that'll be the next step. And then you're going to choose the background paper color. I gave you green or blue, and the color of your heart, you can choose between red or pink. And then we're going to kind of arrange it on your paper however you want to do it. And then the last step after you've kind of glued everything down, I didn't really do a lot in this because I figured I would show you, but you can add decorations. So in your bag, you should have some sequins, some sparkly pipe cleaners, and some glitter glue. So if you want to, you can like add that. I added some words onto mine up top, some Gaelic words that means the love, friendship, and loyalty. So that's kind of it as far as the directions. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and that way you'll be able, oh, I can see you all now. I will go ahead and switch over to my craft cam. So these are all the pieces. I just haven't really glued mine down together. Can you guys see the craft cam okay? Can you hear me?
We don't see. Oh,
we
sorry.
can hear you, but you'll need to make the other screen bigger, your craft cam screen.
Oh, okay. I thought I hit pin. Replace. Oh, nope, I want. Okay. So I don't know if I can make it any bigger. If you click on your view, you should be able to decide if you do speaker view, then it'll get a little bit bigger. So this is the example that I made. So you have your blue paper or green paper. It's up to you. You can decide on your heart. But we're going to use the gray paper to do the hand part. And my hands are a little bit bigger than yours, obviously. So you should have more, because I'm an adult and you guys are kids. So you should have a little bit more space on yours, but you're gonna want to make these cuffs eventually. So make sure you have a little bit of space left for that. But all I did is, like I said, I had my thumb facing out because we're going to angle, like in the Claddagh, we're going to angle our thumbs out and our fingers down like that because they're going to be like holding the heart like that. So you can always move your hand around later, but let's go ahead and trace our hands. So I'm going to start here. And you're going to want to make sure that you get in between your fingers, even though you're supposed to have your fingers together. That way we know
Left-handed.
where your finger, yeah, I'm left-handed. You might be right-handed, but that's okay because we're going to flip our hands print over and trace it. Okay, so that's what my hand looked like. And then I'm going to grab a marker and I'm just going to outline, and you can kind of clean up your lines a little bit at this point too. So I'm just going to outline it here. All right. Oops. Lost a little bit of my palm. So you can make your line nice and thick because we're going to cut out a good portion of it. Okay, so I got my hand and use my scissors. I'm just going to cut that out. And I think it's easier to cut and then go back and add in the fingers later. So that's why we made that line nice and thick, because we do want to hold on to that line. We can make it a little bit thinner by cutting around it, but we want to still have a good outline of our hand. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter what this part of your hand looks like, because we're going to cover that up with a cuff. Okay, then I'm going to go in and kind of clean up my fingers. Oh, these scissors are not not my usual scissors. Usually I have some different ones at my desk, but I think they're getting used for something else. So these scissors are just going to have to do. Hopefully you guys all have scissors that you like at your house, because I would say they're probably like the most useful craft supply. Okay, clean Okay. So instead of tracing my hand again, because we'd have to do the other side, it's kind of hard. If you want to, you can just trace. See, and I did this like not great. There we go. So you're just gonna flip it over and make sure that you're doing the other side, and you can trace that again. If you want to and you don't care that your hands are different, you could trace your other hand, which maybe I'll try it this time. I did it the other time when I made my example, I just flipped this thing over, but I'm going to try tracing my hand. It might be kind of tricky with your non-dominant hand, or if you have a mom or a friend or a sister with you, you guys could trace each other's hands. That could work. Yeah, this is hard, guys. It's easier if you just trace the other one. So I'm going to do that. So you're just going to line up your hand and go ahead and trace it. And remember, you can kind of clean it up later with that marker. Okay. So I'm going to put my other hand right next to it so that I can kind of watch it. Okay, those look pretty similar to me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my other hand. And it's okay if we're all working at different paces. I'm just going to kind of show you how to do the first part. And then if you want to just listen and work, then I thought I would read you another version of the Claddagh story. I also have some funny limericks that I found in a book that I thought we could also share with each other if we wanted to. Okay. So cutting out my hand. Okay, so I'm just going to cut off that palm part because like I said, we're going to cover that up. So now you should have your two hands without the cuff part. And you remember, we're going to face the thumbs up like that because they're going to be holding a heart. And my hands are a little big, so they don't fit super well on a piece of paper, but that's okay. Okay, so the next part we want to do is cut out the cuff part. So all I did with this when I did it is I just wanted to do a simple one. So I kind of just knew that I wanted it to be slightly bigger than the hand. And I just did like an oval. If you wanted to, you could do like something like this. That could be kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that this time. So I'm going to cut it out. Make some frills. I kind of like the kind that have the frills, like it's cute. And they look fancy. I will say these scissors are not my jam. It's hard to find scissors that are good for people that are left-handed. But what I'm gonna do, it's okay that I have all these lines. I'm just gonna turn it around and I'm gonna retrace the back side because I think it'll look better. So I'm gonna, if you do this, put your paper over like a piece of scrap paper or like a paper towel or something so you're not getting the black all over. Okay. All right, so now I have my frilly. So this is what it would look like if you decided to make a frilly thing. Okay. Actually, it would be like that. So then you have your hands. The next part obviously is super easy. I already got a crown cut out for you, but the fun part is going to be the decorating part. So that's you're going to kind of arrange it the way you like. And I kind of like the heart just sitting like on, or the crown just kind of sitting on top of the heart like that. So you could write your name on it. That would be cool. So those are kind of some cuff ideas if you're looking for ideas. You could make like a simple cuff like this one or like a frilly one. So you're going to arrange it. You're obviously going to glue everything down. And then the fun part will be adding your decorations. So I included some glue. If you wanted to, you could add glue to the crown. That could be really fun. You could cut this out and you could add like a little bit of pipe cleaner, fun stuff. You could add like frill, like you can add some glitter to the frill. I like the idea of like creating like a pretty background with the sequins. It's totally up to you. And you don't have to finish it now. If you want to come back to it later, you certainly can. But there are some, you should have in your bag at least a few of the gemstones and then some sequins. You might have like a random button. So it's kind of up to you how you want to decorate your Claddagh. And it's kind of fun to put on the fridge because it's actually your, I guess it would be like that way, your handprints like holding the heart. So I am going to go ahead and let you guys work. I wanted to share the story of the Claddagh, the one that I found on the internet, because it has a little bit more information. So I'm going to go ahead and sit back down at my desk and go ahead and read this to you. And after that, I'm going to recommend a couple books. And then if anyone wants to share their finished project, I would love to see it. But this is the story of the Irish Claddagh. The story of the Claddagh ring is a story told in Galway every day, but it begins 500 years ago on the west coast of Ireland in a tiny fishing village outside of the ancient city walls of Galway, a village known as Claddagh. Each morning, the men would set sail into Galway Bay in their tiny cairdeas, which is another word for boats, with hopes of a great catch. In the bay, the wind could be strong and the seas high, but there were other dangers too. As was oh so common at the time, pirates stalked the bay. One fateful day, a family of fishermen was at sea. Sadly, the men were captured by pirates and promptly sold into slavery. Richard, the youngest of the lot, was soon to be married, but alas, he was forced to leave Claddagh and his beloved behind. Richard was sold to a goldsmith on the north coast of Africa, where he was forced to tend the fires. The goldsmith eventually took a liking to Richard and began to teach him the trade of goldsmithing. A smart Irish lad and a quick study, Richard learned his trade well. A day never passed that Richard did not yearn to be home in the Claddagh with the lass he left behind. The thoughts of love and home inspired Richard. Each day he hoarded a speck of gold from his master. So that meant that he would like put it in his pocket and hide it till he had a whole bunch of gold. When enough gold had been stored, he made a ring, a beautiful ring, a ring with true meaning. In his ring, he combined three symbols. At the center, a heart signifying his love. The heart was embraced by hands signifying his friendship, and the two topped by a crown to mark his loyalty to his love. The years slowly passed, and eventually Richard either escaped captivity or was mercifully released. No one really knows for sure. In some versions I found, they say that the king made the pirates release all of the people of Ireland. What we do know is that he made his way across the oceans, across the continents, and finally across Galway Bay to the Claddagh. To Richard's great joy, when he arrived home, he found that the girl he had loved never had married. With tears of joy in his eyes and trembling hand, he presented to her the ring he had crafted half a world away, and the two lived happily ever after. But our story does not end there. It cannot end there because not only is it a lovely story, but it's the birth of one of Ireland's most endearing traditions. The tradition of the Claddagh is now known in every corner of the earth. It is a story and tradition with such meaning that it captivates all of us 500 years later. Today, the Claddagh ring is worn as a symbol of love, loyalty, and friendship, just as Richard intended. It also signifies a kinship to the history and traditions of Ireland. Worn on the left hand, worn on the left hand with the heart facing towards one heart, it is a traditional sign of betrothal and commitment. The Claddagh ring is often used in its various modern designs as an engagement ring and as wedding ring and commitment rings. Worn on the right hand with the heart facing in is often taken as a sign that the wearer is in a relationship. Worn with the heart pointed out is generally assumed that the heart of the wearer is available. So that's the story of the Claddagh. How's everyone doing? Still working on your projects? If you are interested in some more like Irish folklore, I'm just going to show you this book that I checked out from the library. It's called The Pot of Gold, a treasury of Irish stories, poetry, folklore, and of course, Blarney. And if we have time, I did bookmark a story about the Blarney, and it's really short, so we might read that one if you guys are still working. I also thought that some of you might like this one. It's called Giants, Trolls, Witches, Beasts, 10 Tales from the Deep Dark Woods. And I checked this book out because I thought it was cool that there was a story about Finn McCool in it, which is probably the most famous like hero out of, let's see if I can find it. I should have bookmarked this one, out of Ireland.
Mary, can you hold it up to your other cam and then we'll be able to see him? The crafts cam is just like a little grid
Yeah,
cam.
I just want to show, I don't know why because I thought I pinned that one. So I thought that one, oh, I wonder if it's because I didn't turn the sound on. Hold on, let me add sound.
Recording in progress.
Are you guys hearing that feedback though?
We're hearing an echo.
Yeah. Okay. 1 second.
Maybe if you turn the sound off on the one that you were just, the one that shows your office.
Yes. Okay, so I just turned the sound off on my computer. Now you can see it. Oh, I'm so sorry that it was so small when you were.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, we can totally see what you're doing. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this was the craft. I'm sorry that was small. I didn't know that was happening. That was kind of my solution for the sound bouncing back and forth. But I was going to show you this story of. Why can't I find it now? Anyways, this is the book. It's called Giants, Trolls, Witches, and Beasts. So this might be a fun one. Okay, so it's Finn McCool from Northern Ireland on 159. So here's kind of the pictures you can see. And I just thought this is just such a cool way to learn about like folk tales is through graphic novels. So I'll go ahead and check this one. And if anybody the next time they're at the library thinks about it, it's called, or it's by Craig Phillips. So there's that. And this is that other book I was talking about, A Pot of Gold. And it just has all kinds of cool stuff. So I love, like they have a section on limericks. So maybe I'll just read a couple of these. So a limerick is a county in Ireland. It is also a humorous poem of 5 lines with a rhyme scheme of AABBA. Most fun is making up your own. So there once were 2 cats of Kilkenny. Each thought there was 1 cat too many. So they fought and they fit and they scratched and they bit till instead of 2 cats, there weren't any. Do you guys get it? The cats killed each other. Let's see. This one's kind of funny. An Irishman owned an old barge, but his nose was exceedingly large. But in fishing by night, it supported a light, which helped the old man with his charge. So you can see in that picture, his big nose is holding his lantern. Isn't that silly? Let's see if there's some other good ones. This one's kind of funny. A young lass from near Killinall wore a newspaper dress to a ball. The dress, it caught fire, burned up the entire front page sporting section in all. A bishop residing in Meath sat down on his set of false teeth. Said he with a start, "Oh Lord, bless my heart, I've bitten myself underneath." Okay, I will stop because these are too funny. But if anybody wants to show off their work, is anyone willing to show their finished project? Ooh, okay, hold on. I can pin. Okay. I'm going to remove the pin. Okay. So it looks like Olivia and Audrey, very pretty, some very ornate things going on. I'm going to go ahead and just switch over to my phone. That might be easier. Okay. There we go. Anyone else want to share that? Okay. So another one that, which one of you is Olivia and which one of you is Audrey? You can unmute.
I'm Olivia and that's Audrey.
Okay. So they made some beautiful claddagh. I see Rosie finished hers. Let's see if I can add a pin. Add pin to Rosie so you can see. Ooh, Rosie and her friend made some beautiful claddagh, and it looks like they made their own with their own craft supplies. So that's awesome that you guys had that stuff. That turned out great.
I'm
Good
Rosie.
job.
I'm Rosie and
Which one's which? Anyone else want to show off their artwork? It looks like Paula. Let's see.
I didn't
gonna-
want to change my name, but my actual name is Isabel, and my mom's name is Paula, and this is my artwork. And also, my cousin Matthias wanted to join, but he didn't join because he didn't want to. He doesn't want to anymore, Matthias.
That's okay. I'm going to switch over to my computer. Okay. Anyone else want to show off theirs? I can add a spotlight. Let's see. I need to switch to the gallery view so I can see. I don't know if I saw everyone else's. Oh, Lily, very pretty. Looking good. And it's okay if you don't finish in this, hour that we have. That is totally fine. You can always, add more stuff later if you want to and write some things on there. Anyone else want to share theirs? All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys keep on working, and I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me this World Wednesday, and I hope to see you guys at the library soon, whether it is to collect your summer reading prizes or just to check out books, or hopefully you come to some of our programs. Because remember I showed you that flyer. If you come to any of those programs, like the one you just came to right now, that counts as one of your 10 books. And if you do, like I said, if you do the program again, you can do it up to 4 times to get extra entries. So that can count. So you could do them all summer long. Oh my gosh, Delilah, that is gorgeous. I love it. Love the color. Pop of pink. Very cute. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. Oh, Rosie, sorry, did you have something you wanted to add? Oops. Sorry, I think you're still muted. Go ahead.
I'm Rosie and this is Grace, and we're identical twins.
You are identical twins? I'm a fraternal twin. That's awesome. I have a girl twin too. What's up, Delilah? Did you want to say something, Delilah? Go ahead.
My mommy has one of the rings.
Has a Claddagh ring?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really special. Does she wear it on her left hand?
Yeah. She
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you'll have one someday too. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope I see you guys again soon.